episode 31 here of the Bullpen. It is Thursday, June 12th. We are a day late just because we had a very big week here with our Illinois staff. On Monday, we had the Slammer Scout Day. Tuesday was the Chicagoland Summer ID. Yesterday was the Rising Stars game. So a lot going on. And then obviously last weekend we had the 1A, 2A state championships down in Champaign. Tomorrow we have 3A, 4A state championships. So really today was the only day that we had available to talk. We've got some guys up at tournaments right now. So Pete's up there handling that. Drew's out today. He's not able to get in here. So we just got a lot going on. So we're going to try and get through this and provide some information. But I think those event podcast conversations will happen maybe next week or in the coming weeks. We got a lot. So we're trying to unpack just maybe the 1A, 2A state playoff draft update and then some 3A, 4A preview stuff. So let's get into it. How are you guys doing? That was a lot, but you guys doing well?
Good. I'm ready for Joliet this week, and I know we're going to touch on it, but last year was my first time doing or covering 3A, 4A state. I'm really looking forward to it this year, probably more so than last year. I think we'll kind of get into it, but the teams for both levels that are going to be in Joliet starting tomorrow, it's really, really impressive. It should be, every game is going to be incredible, I think, tomorrow. Every single semifinal game for each level should be awesome. So I'm really looking forward to that. But that's what I got.
I will say with that, I think the since I've been doing this, it seems like the field for both 1A and 2A and then 3A and 4A might be the best that it has been since I've been around. So that 1A, 2A, we'll get into that, but it was a really good weekend, and then I'm excited for 3A, 4A as well. But I just wanted to bring up quickly some College World Series news. I was watching Murray State the other night when they beat Duke. That is a really cool story. So big shout out to them. I know it's kind of like they're coming out of the Missouri Valley. They were the number one seed out of the Missouri Valley. They won the tournament, but it's awesome to see making it to the World Series. And I just know, like, now with the NIL stuff, like just seeing some stuff sprinkled through Twitter, like the difference between what their resources are compared to other schools that are making it is, I don't want to say a tremendous difference, but it's impressive that they've done what they've done and gotten through with what they have.
Well, I've been seeing on Twitter, they're like going viral because like they only have their home stadium, I think only seats like 800 people. And it's like what they'll be playing in this weekend down in Omaha, it's like tripled the size of, or it was something crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like, in perspective, right? Like all these other teams that are there, right? Like you think about a Louisville, Coastal Carolina's got a nice stadium. I'm missing a bunch. Arkansas's there. Like those places have like real big time stadiums. And it's just kind of crazy, like you're saying, the resources here, the resource disparity, I guess. But yeah, shout out to Murray State. We'll see how far they can go this week. But I think anytime, I think that's what's great about college sports in general is like, you see it in basketball, right? There's a Cinderella team. It was either last year or 2 years ago with college baseball. There was like Oral Roberts that made this huge run to the World Series. I think that was last year. Dane, you'd maybe know more than I would, but it's always cool to have like, a Cinderella team to root for. But Dane, feel free to add anything.
Yeah, I think the Oral Roberts thing was 2 years ago.
Okay.
But I think one fact that's getting I don't think it's been talked about enough is that Murray State did this at Ole Miss. They're doing it at these big SEC stadiums already. So they've done it before. I don't see how they can't continue to do this in Omaha, where it's going to be a lot more neutral of a playground.
That's
Totally.
a great point. Yeah. And one nugget I thought that was pretty cool was like, and I don't know how true this is. This is all just coming through Twitter, but apparently, every other facility, they have someone that mows their field for them. But Coach Skirka at Murray State is apparently the guy that mows the lawn or the field for them at Murray State. Again, I don't know how true that is. I just saw it on Twitter, so take that for what it's worth. But I thought that was pretty cool too.
I think I saw that too. So
yeah.
I'd believe it. I mean,
yeah.
some of the program, like those smaller schools, right? Like they probably don't have a field, manager, or depending on the day, like maybe the athletic grounds crew can't get out to the field that day or something.
Yeah.
So I believe it.
But moving down, so Louisville also headed to the College World Series. Also, I just wanted to point out, I have been trying so hard to say Louisville instead of Louisville, but I heard Coach McDonald say Louisville, so I'm torn as to what is the right way to say it. But either way, they're headed to the World Series as well. Ethan Eberle, normal community product, started in their third game of the series or whatever. And he threw 5 innings, struck out 3, walked none, allowed 2 runs and 6 hits. In that same game, Jake Monroe, Champaign Central kid, went 2 for 3 with a run scored. Eddie King doubled in the game, drove in a run, walked, and then Zion Rose doubled, drove in a run, and scored a run. So some Illinois guys, Illinois flavor there, going to the World Series for Louisville. I know they've got more guys than just that, especially some pitchers too. So we'll see what they throw out when they're in the World Series, but excited to keep an eye on those guys. So best of luck to all those schools, all those Illinois guys at the World Series this weekend. But if you got, Tyler, you got anything you want to add?
No,
or
totally.
You guys good? Keep rolling.
I just think we should get into 1A, 2A right here. I know, Gavin, this is kind of, I feel like going back to when we were interns, you've been covering 1A, 2A states. So despite what your, playoff extravaganza picks look like this year with those two levels, I do feel as if you're kind of our resident expert here with the 1A, 2A, and covering states been kind of your baby the last few years. So I know you guys saw some great stuff this past weekend, so I feel like you two should get into it here.
Yeah, I just want to start by giving actually a shout out to our guy Dane here. He kind of led the charge with it. Joe Sullivan, for anyone that saw any of our videos, Instagram stuff, all of the cool coverage, video pictures, that's all Joe. Joe is an absolute stud. He's a dog. He grinds out there. If you see him, he's running around doing his best. I know in the state championship game, he wasn't able to do that. He was up in the press box because of the rain. He can't get his camera wet, but just big shout out to him. And then Kobe Miller was also there, and Clayton Hotfinger was also there. I was in and out. Saturday, I went to a 3A, 4A, or a 4A sectional game. So just big shout out to those guys. But yes, 1A, 2A was awesome. There was so many good prospects, and we knew a lot of the guys' names, but there were some guys that I felt like popped up that I had not personally heard of. Some guys from Pawnee, some Lexington, Eureka. There's some guys that maybe I hadn't seen personally. So it was a really good weekend. I thought we saw some really good arms. I thought there were some bats that came out as some pretty big winners from the weekend. I don't think we're going to break down exactly the prospects that we saw from that game. We'll probably wait until maybe next week to do a 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, full on player prospect recap. I think that'd be kind of a cool idea. But just first thing I want to mention, Ottawa Marquette won the 1A state finals. They beat Father McGivney. Really, really two really talented 1A baseball teams that I really think could compete at the 2A, 3A level as well. They just have some really talented bats and arms. Sacred Heart Griffin won the 2A state finals. # did it for Dane. That was pretty awesome to see that, just for the sole fact of the whole Dane situation, and they're just kind of cult following with Dane throughout the playoffs so far. But no, that's just a couple nuggets that I wanted to add. But Dane, feel free to get in there. I know you were locked in throughout both days.
Yeah, it was some great action. Once you just said, we saw a lot of guys pop up on our radar that might have not been. So that's always great. I think also another fact of this 1A, 2A is it's a lot of small towns, it's a lot of smaller schools. So, you look at T-Town in both their games, it felt like majority of their city or town showed out, and it was really awesome. And then you also have that in the third place game on Saturday for the 1A between Pawnee and Lexington. It felt like they had half their stands were full on Lexington, half their stands were full on Pawnee. It was just a great show out for both of them. And then also the student section showed out. Shout out to the Left Field Mafia, the Sacred Heart Griffin. I have to give a shout out to them. Those guys, those guys really showed out in both games, and it was really cool to see.
Yeah, and one thing I just kind of wanted to add too about like Illinois, like the field and like the stadium, it was like perfect for this weekend, just like the size. Because I will say, when you get into the bigger stadiums a little bit, sometimes they'll like, especially the third place games, it almost feels like it's just so quiet. But with the way that Illinois is set up, it's right on top of the field, and you have the ability to go down the lines in the grass. Like, it's a little bit smaller, obviously, but it allows you to fill up the stadium, and it feels like you have a really good atmosphere, which I really enjoyed. And that's not a knock on Peoria by any means. I think Peoria is awesome, and the facility's great. But I just think it was more of like I guess intimate is the best way setting, with being a little bit smaller and less of like a big stadium feel. So it really was able to pack the stadium in, and the crowds were awesome. Like, I know, like Dane, you mentioned T-Town. Like, we were sitting next to some T-Town fans in the championship game, just getting some velos behind home. And then, yeah, there's just so many fans, so many T-Town people, a lot of pride, a lot of town pride. Like, it means a lot to these small communities, and that's just so cool to see. I know when Henry, where I grew up, made it 2 years ago, it meant the world to the town. Like, so many people showed up. So it's just really cool getting to experience that and be there with the fans and see the excitement and how much they care, how proud they are of their teams and their town. So I thought that was awesome. It was a great weekend. We'll kind of get into some like uncommitted guys here towards the end from this event. But again, like I said, keep an eye out look back at our 1A, 2A scout blog that we wrote up. I think there was 30 guys in there from the weekend that we wrote up. A lot of talent that we saw, game recaps, things like that. There was a ton of content coming out from the weekend, but hopefully next week we can kind of digest 1A, 2A, and 3A, 4A, talk through some prospects, things like that. But that's what I got on 1A, 2A, Tyler. I think maybe we can get into, or Dane, go ahead.
Yeah, I just remember also for T-Town, during the 1A state championship, we all stood up for the national anthem, and I look off to the right of the flag, and it looks like there's a little tailgate going on. Some people are standing, hands over hearts, looking at the flag. And as we're building up to that 7 o'clock 2A state championship, more and more people are filling that lot, playing games, grilling out. It was just a great, awesome thing to see. Like, that's not going to happen in Peoria. That's not going to happen in Joliet. But that happened there in Champaign, which I thought was pretty sick.
Yeah, because they got those grass lots all around. Because we parked in like these grass parking lots, and that's a great point. Like, it's definitely like a cool, like, you can definitely tailgate at it. It's a great atmosphere for sure. It was a perfect 1A, 2A setting, I thought. But yeah, let's get into this playoff extravaganza update. I know we got some exciting news. We were talking about it a little bit before this, but yeah, what do we got?
Well, I don't know if it's exciting. It's probably exciting for Dane right now. But to recap, coming into this final weekend of the playoffs, just a quick standings update. Dane is sitting really good right now. There are a couple factors at play, but basically, if one of Gavin's teams loses entering state, he's got St. Lawrence left in 3A, and he's got Normal Community left in 4A. If either of those teams don't win state, Dane essentially clinches the victory here. But to give a quick standings update, Dane in first with 132 points. Drew is now in second with 95. Yours truly is in third with 92. Gavin is now in fourth with 71. And Peter is now in last with 63. Entering this weekend, right? Like I said, Gavin is probably the only person that can catch Dane at this point. If both St. Lawrence and Normal Community were to win state, it'd be 60 points. He would then win. Or wait, hold on. No, guys, I think it's over. Like, that would get Gavin to 131.
And what does Dane have?
Dane has 132.
Wow, Dane, what?
This is a terrible podcast or terrible math on my part. Math was never really my strong suit. But I feel like we can call it, like, this, like, election night. Like, we can call the race. I think Dane has really locked this up now. But regardless, now everybody else is playing for second. So just for the fans at home, so that everybody knows what's left. In 3A and in 4A, all I have left is Cary Grove. Shout out to the Trojans. I'm riding with you guys till the very end. Let's get this thing this weekend. Gavin has St. Lawrence, and then Dane has Triad. None of us had Bennett, so shout out to Bennett. Clearly we were sleeping on them. 4A, I have nobody left. What a stinker for your
That's
guy
tough,
here,
Tyler. Man, that's tough.
This is all earned. This is all earned on my part. Gavin has Normal Community left. Pete has McHenry. Drew has Brother Rice, and Dane has Libertyville. So we will have, without a doubt, one of us will have correctly predicted the state champion in at least 3 of the 4 levels. Because for 1A, Drew correctly picked Ottawa Marquette. For 2A, obviously Dane picked Sacred Heart Griffin. 3A, unless Bennett wins it all, then we will have correctly picked the state champion for all 4 levels, which I think is pretty cool. Whether or not it's me who gets it right for 3A or not, it's all I have left at this point. But that is what we have as of right now. I don't know. I feel like that's a nice little transition. We can get right into our 3A, 4A preview if you guys are good with that. No, go ahead.
No, one thing I wanted to touch on with this is like, I'm not trying to by any means toot our own horn here, but we did have I remember going through our Power 25 preseason Power 25, and I believe we did have Bennett in the back. Obviously they came out, so big shout out to them for making it to state. They obviously had the pieces. We dug into all these teams. We're looking at the roster, seeing what they had, seeing what we knew on them, and they obviously had the pieces and maybe just weren't putting it together there at the beginning of the year. But man, that's cool. It's awesome seeing schools get in like that, making runs. 26-12, that's a good season. But they've got some arms. I know that's what we really liked about them is their arms. And then obviously some good offensive pieces as well. But yeah, no, I'm excited for this 3A, 4A weekend. And I think that is a good transition. I will say, I was getting a lot of hate in this draft. It looks like I'm not going to get last place, which is well, I guess I could.
Well, you shouldn't have said anything. Right? You shouldn't have said anything.
I just feel so confident in St. Lawrence and Normal Community that I'm not going to get last. But I'm riding with them. What do you got, Dane? What do you got?
Both our teams in 3A and 4A are facing each other in the state semifinals. So Triad's taking on St. Lawrence, and then Libertyville is taking on Normal. So we'll see.
Nice little rivalry here.
No, I was getting a lot of hate, and I'm feeling pretty good. I will say that. So we'll see what happens, Tyler. But I just wanted to. I'm not a guy that's gonna trash talk you, but it would really suck if I overtook your.
I'm really hoping
third
you don't
place.
Pass me.
That would suck.
I know I'll never live it down until next year's draft.
I can promise you, if I pass you, you're gonna get a nice little video edit of all your smack talk, all of it, and then something about me taking over. So I just want you to be prepared.
Oh, well, I appreciate the heads up. It's probably coming. I don't know. We'll see. But clearly, although I bested you with the 1A, 2A stuff, you definitely have my number here with the 3A, 4A. So I will tip my cap to you there. But let's get into it. Friday, tomorrow, it's absolutely loaded. Triad St. Lawrence is going to kick off the day. Both of these teams have just been powerhouses all year. I think each has been nestled inside our top 20 from start to finish this season. Triad's absolutely loaded on both sides of the ball. St. Lawrence, man, they've really just been getting hot, I feel like, throughout the playoffs. I caught the tail end of their super sectional game Monday against Simeon, and they find ways to win. Coach Lotus has been there, done that. They know how to win over there. That game's going to be absolutely awesome. Will be very interesting to see the pitching matchup for both sides. Does Triad go go Winslow. Who does St. Lawrence go to? They've got 3 different arms I feel like they could choose from to get the ball tomorrow, whether it's Sam Chin, Jimmy Benson, or John Strakowski. So going to be very interesting to see what happens there. Following that, you're going to have Cary Grove against Bennett Academy. I believe Charlie Tatsy through Monday in their super sectional win, so I don't know if he'll be available to go tomorrow, but if Cary Grove is able to defeat Bennett Friday, he would likely get the ball in a winner take all on Saturday. But keep an eye out for Caden Norman to potentially get the ball for Cary Grove tomorrow. Bennett, they've got pretty much take your pick, right? They could go Jake Reifenberg. They could go Gino Zagorek. They've got 2 other senior arms who have been really good this year, whether it's Tristan Lakis or Johnny Rossi. So there's going to be no shortage of pitching this weekend, which I think always goes back to what we talk about in the spring. Looking ahead to playoffs, who's got the pitching? That is usually what gets you to Joliet and usually what helps you be the last team standing in Joliet. So that is what is lined up tomorrow for 3A. I don't know if either of you guys want to hop in here before I preview 4A real quick.
No, I think tomorrow's Lawrence and Triad matchup is going to be awesome. Like, I'm just looking at some of these stats and kind of the records and stuff, but like right now St. Lawrence is 35-5. Heading into the weekend, they've outscored their opponents. They're in their postseason. Outscored opponents 54-6. Like, that's absurd. And then Triad is 34-6. They've won 10 of their last 11 games. Like, they got Hayden Bernruder, Gabe Deaver, Keegan Sipe, Hayden Bugger, Braden Yates, Nolan Keller, Keenan Sipe. And then like you said on the mound, they've got Drew Winslow, Sawyer Brunson. Like, they just have so many really talented players where I think tomorrow's 3A matchup there in the semifinals is going to be a big one. Really, I think there's going to be a lot of excitement. I think it's going to be a close game. So I think that'll be fun. And then
real quick,
Bennett,
Gav,
go ahead.
I feel like it's going to have the Edwardsville Pravi feel from last year.
For sure. Yes.
That was the 4A semifinal game last year, and it had like the state finals type feel to it. It was close. It was like 0-0. Then it was 1-0, then 1-1, and I want to say Pravi ended up winning that game like 2-1, in 8 innings maybe even. So I feel like that game could have a very similar feel. One last shout out to both these teams. They schedule super tough in the spring. Triad plays anybody that's good down there. 3A, 4A, they'll play Missouri teams. St. Lawrence always challenges themselves on their spring trips. They play in the CCL Blue as a 3A school with a bunch of really good 4A programs within that conference. So just want to shout out both those teams because that stuff pays off, as you're seeing, once they get to the playoffs. No adversity is really too big for them when they get to the playoffs. So that's just one last shout out I wanted to throw in there.
And with Lawrence, shout out to Jimmy Benson, sophomore, dude. He's 10-1, thrown 52 innings, struck out 65, allowed 28 hits and only 6 earned runs on the year. Like, as a sophomore, pitching in like a conference that's that talented, their schedule, it's a very tough schedule, and he's pitching as a sophomore in that. Like, big shout out to him. But yeah, this Bennett Academy Cary Grove game, like, Bennett's coming in on a 7-game winning streak, and they've only given up 7 runs in the postseason so far. So obviously, really talented pitching there. And then Cary Grove, they're 25-12. They have 14 seniors on their roster, and most of them, like I think 7 of them, are playing consistently in their lineup. Having a senior-led team in the playoffs is super beneficial. You have that experience, you have that leadership, kind of like that calm, cool, collected feel on the field in games like this. So I think that's going to play well for them. We'll see. It should be a good weekend for 3A, but yeah, we can kind of move on to 4A unless you guys have anything else.
No, I'll go right into it. 4A, first game leading us off tomorrow around 4 o'clock should be number 3 Libertyville versus number 9 Normal Community. Gav, I know you were pretty fired up that the Ironmen are headed to Joliet, just with them being in your backyard. But talk about pitching, I would think we're probably getting Gavin Swartz tomorrow, Gav. I feel like you know more than I would.
It should be Gavin Swartz. Yeah, he's had about a week.
Week's rest.
Weekish rest, yeah. Or no, it
So
should be, yeah, it should be a week rest, yeah. Yep.
So you're likely getting Gavin Swartz, and then Libertyville can pretty much go to anyone, I would think. I know Josh Holt's through Monday, so he's probably likely out for tomorrow, maybe in a closing capacity. But man, they could go to Cole Lockwood, they could go to Nico Harper, they could go to Brady Bunick at any time. I'm sure I'm leaving out a couple guys that are absolutely loaded on the mound. So that game
Chase
gonna
Lockwood,
be
right?
awesome.
Ty?
Chase Lockwood, yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Cole plays infield, so thank you for that. But that will be the first game of 4A. Second game is going to be absolutely unreal. I feel like you're going to get Brandon Shannon for McHenry against number one Brother Rice. That harm against that lineup alone is going to be can't miss stuff. That's another game to me. State finals type feel. I feel like just. And that, to me, I'm saying that more as like a compliment to Brandon Shannon. That's not a knock on the Libertyville normal community game at all. I just think Brandon Shannon is firmly in the conversation for our Prep Baseball Illinois Player of the Year. Now, if he goes out and beats Brother Rice tomorrow, I would say it's going to be really tough to not give it to him. He's 11-0 entering the year. He's got a sub-1 ERA. He's got over 100 strikeouts. He's going to Louisville after this year, unless he foregoes and goes to the draft or goes to professional baseball after this. But then Brother Rice, man, they've found ways to win all postseason long. They've had some close calls. They had a 1-run victory against Fenwick. They walked off OPRF, and then they walked off Mount Carmel. Funny enough, their super sectional game was the most lopsided victory in their favor, beating Pravi 8-5 last Monday. So, man, they find ways to win. It's a younger team, but they've got obviously big-time veterans in that lineup with Gavin Triesenberg, Jackson Natanik, amongst others. So, Aiden Ohava as well. So it's going to be a really fun matchup tomorrow night. It'll be a great way to end the day, I think. And what's great is, we're going to be locked in all day. There's not a single game tomorrow that's going to be, oh, you can take this off. Oh, you maybe don't need to lock in that much. It's going to be, can't miss stuff from 10 a.m. until probably 9:30 tomorrow night. So
one thing, Tyler, I did not realize, and I just didn't realize how deep the Libertyville pitching staff was and how much they really had. I mean, their arms are unbelievable. Like they've, you got a Josh Holst, Chase Lockwood, Brady Bunick, Charlie Gertz, Zach Seiler, Nico Harper, Aaron Fry. Like they've got guys that they just have so much depth, and I think that's similar to normal community. And one thing I just wanted to say about community is if I saw Gavin Swartz, I think it was last Thursday. If he is that guy this weekend, tomorrow, most likely, it is going to be electric stuff. I think tomorrow from a pitching perspective, because what he did when I saw him last week was strikes, so much confidence with his off speed that I had not seen out of him before. So if that slider, curveball, changeup is working the same way that it was last week, as well as the ability to locate the fastball, both in and out, up, down, like it's going to be awesome. That game should be awesome. But yeah, normal community, they've got depth both on the mound, at the plate, similar to Libertyville, I think, and a lot of these teams. So I'm pumped for this weekend. Should be some good stuff here.
And the last thing I'll throw in on this, to any parents listening, if you've got a young kid who's really into baseball, you live near Joliet, somewhere in the Chicagoland area, or even if you live even further, this weekend's a great opportunity to bring your young kid who's really into baseball and show them what playing baseball at a very high level looks like. If they're a young pitcher, bring them, have them watch Brandon Shannon tomorrow night. Honestly, you could pick any game because every single game's going to have really great pitching, but I think what's fun about this weekend is it's great baseball. It's at a very, very high level. All of these teams are well coached. And all of them play the game the right way. So it's going to be really fun. I seriously cannot wait to wake up tomorrow and head down to Joliet. I'm really looking forward to it. So it should be a really fun weekend.
Yep, absolutely. And myself, Tyler, Dane, Joe Sullivan will be up there tomorrow. So it should be a good day tomorrow. But yeah, wrapping this up quick with some prospects to know from 1A, 2A state. I'm just going to talk through one guy. Well, next week we'll talk about maybe more of these guys. But right-handed pitcher Gavin Addis, junior, uncommitted from Teutopolis. Really like the way that he moves. It's loose, it's easy, it's repeatable. Fastball sat in the low 80s. He was up to 85. Breaking ball has like an upside look. It's kind of 11.5 shape, but wasn't consistently landing it. But I still think there's a lot to come there. A lot more polish to come. Again, like the mover, like the athlete. So that is Gavin Addis, uncommitted 2026 from Teutopolis.
And I had a couple of 2027 arms. The first one from 1A Marquette was Griffin Doberstein. He set 83, 85, top 86, had a low 70 slider with hard bite. He threw both on Friday and Saturday, and he had great outings in each of them. 5'10", 165-pound frame. There's still a lot of room to grow. I think that this is a really interesting arm in the 2027 class, right-hander. As well as Caleb Dedders from T-Town, another 2027, 80-84, top 86, had a mid-70s changeup with depth, flashed a low 70s curveball. Athletic, easy actions. He continues to do it. I saw him in April, I believe, or maybe at the beginning of May against Highland, and he came out of the pen. He did well in that game, and he did that again on Friday. He helped them take that state semifinal against Lexington, I believe.
No, it would. Trying to think who it was. That's a great question. I'm blanking on it right now. I'm pulling it up. They beat Newman Central Catholic.
Yeah. So some great stuff there.
Yeah, and I like Griffin Doberstein a lot too. Honestly, it kind of gave me like Alec Novotny vibes, and Novotny was great too. He was up to 88, 89 maybe that weekend, and the slider, curveball, it's really good. Doberstein kind of reminded me of that too, like with his off speed. I thought the slider looked pretty good, sharp bite, and yeah, it was up to 86. Really easy mover, an athlete. Upside frame, like it's very like, I'd say not entirely wiry, but he's got long levers and room for strength still to come. A lot of development still, but no, it was a good weekend for 1A, 2A state. And again, we'll talk through some more guys I think next week. But also in the meantime, check out our scout blog from the 1A, 2A weekend. A lot of prospects in there that we mentioned, but that'll wrap up episode 31 here of the Bullpen. As always, we appreciate you guys listening. Like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube. Follow us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. We appreciate you listening, and we will see you again next week. We'll catch you later.